everybody. I'm Peter Hopkins with United Infrared, and today we're going to be talking about pool and spa inspectors, and I have a special guest here. I'm going to introduce him here in a little second, but you'll see him on your screen right now. But we had a little vision with what we're going to do with our course. Now, having been a building inspector now for over 25 years, and personally, I'm one of those guys that practices what you preach. And so, in fact, I did a pool inspection today as part of a home inspection. And one of the things I can tell you is, I know a lot of guys in the industry, and part of our pool inspections is looking at what we can physically and visibly see. So we're looking at the water, we're looking at the equipment, we're looking at the safety features. But what I can tell you is there's a lot of things that are kind of unknown, and we depend on what we can physically see when it comes to the pool. A big question that gets asked of us is the pool leaking. Honestly, unless we can see a leak at the equipment, we don't know. In fact, my client this morning, because I haven't officially launched pool and spa inspectors in my own business, but I will be this summer, I did not do that leak detection service. So this client on a $3 million home in Laguna Niguel, California, was paying a plumber to do a leak test. I'm going to let Ravi talk about that a little bit too. And although it's not exactly what he is an expert in the pool business, and I'm going to let him respond to that. But one thing I can tell you is that this client's about to spend several $100s for a service to determine, but I don't know if they're going to be able to give him the answers, because plumbers are not necessarily the guys who are going to be able to tell is the leak, because they depend on certain pressures in those systems to determine it. And, a lot of times these they're running at like 20 or 10, 15 PSI. It may not be the 80 PSI that goes through a normal plumbing system in a home. So those are some of the things. But another key thing is the chemistry of the water. And I'm going to tell you, I can't wait to hear, Ravi's explanations on this. But, when it comes to chemistry in the water, somebody could have put a chlorine bomb in that pool the day before our inspection, and you might come out and look, and it looks great. And unless you got your sniffer down there and really start to smell like, like we go to these commercial pools where they over chlorinate these pools because they're worrying about those, I don't know, the kids pissing in the pool or whatever. But I tell you, people can do things. I most home inspectors know, like when we go in, we see a bath mat in a tub, and then we pull the mat up, and then we see the crack in the tub. We're like, oh, you were trying to hide this from us. Well, this is a way of hiding. So I think that we have a great introduction on a product today that's going to help you understand how you can do that better pool job and provide to your clients a service that's going to make sense. So I'm really excited to introduce Ravi Karani. He is the founder and inventor of Sutro. And is a product that I have, although I don't own a pool and spa myself, I deal with thousands of clients who have these questions and needs. And Ravi's going to tell us a little bit about himself and the company, and why an affiliation with pool and spa inspectors makes sense for Sutro, and how it's going to make sense for you. So I wanted you, our attendees, our students, to have an introduction to this product firsthand from Ravi, and hear why he created this product, and why there was a need, and what it's actually doing, and how simple it is, and how it's going to make sense for your clients. Without further ado, Ravi, why don't you give our people an introduction to technology for pools?
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me here, Peter.
Absolutely.
So my name is Ravi Karani. I'm the CEO and founder of a company called Sutro. I'll just give you a quick story kind of before I jump into the presentation of why I'm here and why we built Sutro. So my background is in the pool industry. I literally grew up in the pool industry. I don't say that lightly, because my dad used to actually own a chain of pool and spa supply stores in Southern California, actually very close to where Peter lives, up in Riverside, California, in the desert. And being an immigrant family, we didn't have babysitters, we didn't have anything like that. So I literally had my stroller in the back of the store while he was repairing pumps and doing everything from water tests to selling chlorine. So I watched him and my mom grow that business from the one small little store that we had to over 30 stores in the Southern California region. And so What I thought of at that point in time, after going to UC Riverside, again another university right up the street, and getting a degree in mechanical engineering, was the main thing that every single pool owner has to do is test their water, right? Whether you're testing it, whether the customer's testing it, whether they have a pool guy coming in, whether they take that water to a pool store, 100% of water needs to be tested. No ifs, ands, or buts. And with that, I said, why is testing so hard? Because there is, the reagents you have to put in, you have to then look at the colors. Once you actually figure out what the parameters are, you then need to build a recipe. You need to figure out what chemicals you need to put into your pool. And I said, what if we just shoved all of that into a little robot? Because that's what people did when they came into my dad's pool store. And so that was kind of the impetus of Sutro, which is a literal floating water test laboratory that tests your water chemistry for you and tells you what to do before your water goes south. And that's kind of the 50,000-foot view of what we built, but I'll jump in the presentation if you guys don't mind.
Yeah, let's do it.
Cool. So like I kind of said, what the Sutro is, it's this floating device that you see here. It's about this big. I'll hold it up on the screen just so you guys can kind of see the shape and size of it. I'll be showing more of the product, but basically it takes the guesswork out of pool and spa maintenance. It's a device that simplifies pool management, and it floats in your customer's pool and sends measurements 3 times a day. Measures 3 things, and that's the pH, free chlorine, bromine as well, alkalinity, and actually temperature. So a little bit more than 3. And it sends all of that to an application. So on your phone, you can actually see what the chemistry is and what you need to do at that point in time. You guys have probably all seen this before. This is a test kit. Now let's just quickly walk through the process of how you test a swimming pool, right? What you're going to do is you're going to take a sample of water. You're going to have the little reagents that you drop inside of these vials. And then once this thing changes color, you're going to then compare this color against this color bar over here on the side, right? And that color bar on the side will tell you that the pH is, 7.2 or the chlorine is 2. After you have that information comes the big question of, what do I do with this information? My pH is 7.2. I need to get it to a 7.5. How much soda ash do I put into my swimming pool to increase the pH? And so that's kind of where the full math comes out. And the other part of this is that the human has to go out there and continuously keep testing their pool on a reactive basis, right? They're not being preventative. And so if you're out on a trip or you forget to test your pool or it's too hot on a particular day, all of those things have an effect against your actual pool chemistry. And so wouldn't it just be cool if we could test your water every single day without you testing it and telling you what to actually do? And that's what we built as Sutro. So how does it work? There's this monitor right here. This monitor floats inside of your swimming pool, which connects to this hub, which actually is inside of your home. This hub also doubles up as a battery charger inside here. And then there's the app, in which everything in the cloud basically tells you exactly what you need to put into your pool and when you need to put it inside there. A little bit of an anatomy lesson on this monitor. It's I don't know how many Back to the Future fans are out there, but this was actually modeled off of the flux capacitor. Kind of opens up like that. So we need some dry to pull that out. Inside here is a test cartridge, which I'll tell you more about in detail. So just keep that in your mind. And over here is the battery. This battery, as I mentioned, we ship 2 of them inside of the box. One of them is living inside of your device, and the other one goes inside this hub, and this hub is inside your home that keeps it charged. So this cartridge will get mailed to you once a month. Once it gets mailed to you once a month, it takes less than 5 minutes to change that cartridge out. You recycle this, swap the batteries, and change the cartridges. And I'll show you kind of how that works in just a second.
All right. So one of the things I just want to comment on, so everybody understands. So the reagents that we're using a computer to read this, which is going to be superior to our own vision. So like you were showing those test kits that people were using. And, as we explain in the course, in effect, we are using the same reagent that you use in your product, which is with the Lamont, right? The reagents.
100%.
And so when we're physically doing our inspections of these pools, we're going to use a device, a mobile photometer to be doing this. And this device is ultimately going to be for your clients. But we want you to understand, as the inspector, the proper use of this, because you're going to be explaining and demonstrating this to them on site. And ultimately, we're going to be talking about the incentives that you have as inspectors, why this program is going to make sense and can have an ongoing reward for you. So we're going to talk about that a little bit too. But I wanted to make sure everybody understood that this is not the device that you will physically be using. It's what your clients will be using after you're long gone. You know, that inspection's completed, but you're going to be handing them some marketing. We're going to go into that a little more detail. So I just wanted to make sure that there was some clarity on that.
Awesome. So there's kind of four main components to the Sutro system that I talked about just a few minutes ago. The first is the microfluidic chip, which is inside of this cartridge. And it's microfluidics because, like Peter just said, we take the exact same reagents that you're using in that Lamont Spin Touch. And we actually put them into little syringes that fit at the bottom of this cartridge. So we're actually doing the exact same process. The hassle-free maintenance, like I mentioned, there is only one cartridge change once a month. Takes less than 5 minutes. We do have great support, which I'll talk about in a second. And also, we get to use your customers' chemicals, which I'll also explain in just a few minutes. So the microfluidic chip, as I mentioned up here on the top right, as you see, these are these syringes that are inside of this cartridge right here that I'm holding in my hand. And just so you can see, it's about the size of my palm. So it's a pretty small cartridge. And this cartridge, like I said earlier, does 100 tests. And out of the 100 tests, we test 3 times a day. So that's why the cartridge expires over the course of 1 month, basically. And that's these reagents that are literally getting dispensed by the actual robot itself. And through this microfluidic chip, the same way that your eyes actually looks at the color of the reagents, it's an analog to this test kit or to the Lamont Spin Touch, where the actual sensors inside here look and take a picture of the actual color to figure out what the color is, and then the system will actually analyze what the color is. The exact same way that the Lamont Spin Touch does, and the exact same way that your eyes would.
So some people might ask a question, why don't we just use this to do it all? You know, instead of using the Spin Touch. And I'll answer that question is because there's a startup time with the Sutro. So first of all, one question I have that we have is, you mentioned that the battery. So of course this is first, so our inspectors and team members know and understand the product. The battery has an estimated life of a little over a month. Is that why we changed that out when we install the new cartridge? We
That's
changed
correct.
the battery.
The battery marries its life with the cartridge life, and so they kind of both deplete at roughly about the same time.
Okay, so it's a 1 month, it's a couple of minute process where somebody's just opening this Back to the Future device. I was entertained by that. Was that really true? That was really
true.
the
Yeah, it is.
Okay. Okay. So that's good. And so yeah, so they changed that battery, they changed this device, and but the startup time is the reason. Like, we can't just put this in a pool 1 minute and then go to the next pool, you know, an hour later and put it in another pool and get the answers, because this is reading this chemical analysis over time, correct?
That's correct. Yeah, and I think the other thing to note with the Spin Touch is the Spin Touch has a larger array of measurements, like cyanuric acid, like calcium hardness, that change much more slower. And so the way to think about it is the Sutro is your Fitbit, right? It sits on your wrist, tells you, hey, Peter, you've been sitting at your computer for too long. You need to get up. Your heart rate's high. This is what your run looked like. It's meant to be that kind of ongoing heartbeat for your swimming pool, but that doesn't negate your fact for going to the doctor and taking those kind of vitals when you first get that detailed analysis of what your water chemistry is. And so one of our kind of newer app updates will allow you to take those slower moving parameters from the Lamont test, put them into the Sutro so we can kind of log them. And we'll say, hey, we know that you took this Lamont measurement a month ago. your measurements have kind of aged a little bit, right? Let's get a new calcium measurement, a new cyanuric acid measurement. And so that's the way to kind of differentiate these is we measure the 3 heartbeat measurements. The Lamont measures this kind of once in time, slower moving parameters. That's good when you first just get the pool started up and running.
Well, what I really love about this product is the fact that we're on that continual basis, and the inspection is a given point in time. We come at one moment of time and tell you, and I think that I don't want to kind of go forward so much in your presentation and explain your expertise, but I can tell you, and you will understand that the chemistry of that pool can change daily. And, for that homeowner who's going to be taking advantage of this Sutro product in their pools, the big thing is that they want to know what they don't know. And this device makes it simple, and it tells them that pool is safe. That's really right. That's a big advantage of this system, is that letting the technology tell you that your pool is safe to swim in, or you need to add a cup full of whatever to get it there, instead of dropping a chlorine bomb so that the inspector thinks the pool is crystal clear. We will know technology. And I think that, another big thing about that is, I will have clients who are multimillionaires maintaining their own pool, and it absolutely blows me away. But this is a device that can help them. And if they choose to have a pool guy, maybe he's a good looking pool guy and they want to have a pool guy, it can tell you if that pool guy is just all looks or he actually knows a thing or two about pools. So
exactly.
Carry on.
That right. Too. And I think the other thing, Peter, you just mentioned a second ago is this changes your relationship with the water, right? Before Sutro, customers were very reactive. They were always running to their pool. Oh, I gotta check it. If you don't have the data, you don't know what's going wrong. This moves a reactive relationship to a preventative relationship. Now it's kind of managing you and you're managing it, in real time, versus you having to continuously keep chasing after your water chemistry. And so, it changes the paradigm of how you look at your water chemistry.
Yeah, this is great. All right, carry on.
So the next thing that I said is 5 minutes once a month, right? I'm gonna go through this. I know it's a little painful to do on video, but let's put this back inside here. So
these guys they're sucking this up right now. So take whatever time you need, because this is all going to be conveyed to their clients, and explain this is 5 minutes a month for the safety. It's worth it.
So you'll get this box in the mail right here.
They will get the box.
This is the Sutro box that has the cartridge inside of it. What your customers are going to do is they're going to pull this floating device that was inside their water. They're going to open up the flux capacitor.
These guys are going to be calling that now.
They're going to take out this cartridge just like this. You kind of pinch the tabs here on the side, and it comes out. And they're going to take out this battery, right? And everything's going to be done through the app. So the app will tell you, hey, Peter, it's time to change your cartridge out. Your cartridge is running low. We have one in the mail for you. You're going to take the battery that was inside of here. You're going to take that battery and put it inside of the monitor. You're going to take this box that you just got, open it up, take the new cartridge out.
Move it over so that it doesn't show up fully. Move it, bring it over a little more centered. There you go.
You're going to put that cartridge inside here, the new cartridge, and then you have just put in the battery as well. You're going to close up the flux capacitor until it clicks just like that. And then you're going to throw that back inside your swimming pool. That's about how long it takes for you to service your monitor. And
okay, so there's actually a click in there, right? So once they close it, they'll know that this thing's water resistive at this point, waterproof, once they hear that click. So the customers will. So one of the things that in our students is they'll have an advantage opportunity to either purchase a full working model, or you have created some demonstration models that basically have this kit set up, but so that we can show our customers this is actually it. In fact, probably, let me see if I can. So it's right over there. There's one right there in my office on the table. So, but these demonstration models will be so that when they go out, they can show them and let them feel a little bit more comfortable with what one of these systems is.
Correct. Yep. Yep. And all of your guys, depending on if they opt in for that program, will have these demo units. And I should just say that these demo units they're basically dummies, right? So they don't functionally work, but you can kind of touch and feel and see how it floats. You can, show them this click that's on there, and they can also see the hub to just kind of see what it looks like if they want to, put it inside their home to see where it would fit best. They can kind of, touch and feel the product.
Yeah, my goal with having Ravi with one of these units is just so that people can have a comfort in knowing, like, what is this? Is it going to overpower the pool? I mean, reality, do people take these in and out of the pool when they're swimming, or do they just leave it tied up near the skimmer, or where do these usually get placed?
It kind of depends how big the pool is, right? Like, I think the extreme case of that is, you can say, a hot tub or a jacuzzi is a much smaller body of water. And in that case, people will just pull it out, put it on the side of the jacuzzi when they're inside there, and they put it back inside. For a pool that's much bigger, if it's kind of sitting in the deep end, just floating right by the skimmer or something, then nobody touches it. Just kind of sits there forever.
Okay. All right.
The other thing here is cutting edge technology and support. So the first thing is that actually this presentation was made for a demo that we did in Chicago. That's why we have a Chicago Bears football court here. But one thing I wanted to...
we probably have some people from Chicago here.
Yeah,
there's going to be there. I mean, they have a few swimming pools.
Yeah, exactly. So here on the Bears field is 100 yards, right? And one thing we want to show here is that the hub and the monitor actually can see see each other's data for up to 100 yards.
Oh, wow.
That's to be noted because a lot of the other technologies in the pool and spa industry rely off of Wi-Fi. And, just for all of you to know out there, that Wi-Fi and Bluetooth are not the best signal to traverse through, walls, through water. As you guys have noticed with your Bluetooth headphones, you guys will lose connection if you're, in the other room over. That's just on your headphones. Now expect, something that's in the pool with water, with rebar, with concrete, with the walls. That's problematic. And so we actually have a proprietary communication link that's basically the walkie-talkie frequency that allows the hub to actually talk to the monitor that's inside the swimming pool. And the second thing is support. We do not expect you and do not want you to deal with our problems if there are. There's customers that'll always have an issue with something. We take full responsibility for managing any of those issues. And so we have an email address, support@mysutro.com. If your customers have any issues, just directly tell them to email us, or if they email you, you can just CC in that email address, and our customer support team will handle anything and everything that customer has a problem with. So I just do want to say that. We also do have a phone number, so they can also call during normal business hours from Monday to Friday in case they do have a problem.
Excellent.
And the last thing here is your customers can use their chemicals or your chemicals. We have a library of over 2,000 chemicals in our database, and chemicals are different across the US, right? Sometimes people in Florida use Pinch a Penny. In California, there's Leslie's. There's a lot of mom and pop pool shops that have their own private brands. In the Sutro application, all you have to do is when you onboard it, you just scan the chemicals that you have in your backyard. And the Sutro will put a nice little pretty picture of the chemicals that you have and exactly of how much of that to add. So there's no guesswork from your side of knowing, oh, well, I don't know if I have that chemical or do I need to put some of this in. And if we don't have your chemicals, your customers can take a picture of it, scan the barcode, and send it in. And within 48 hours, we'll basically upload the chemical so they can be able to use what they have. And that's a kind of pretty unique feature that we have above the other guys that are out there.
I don't think there is any other guys out there. But I think this is really a is that we're about using the many times people will use too much chemical or not enough. See, when you had those little chemical tests that they were doing and they knew they needed to add some product or another, it was a guess, wasn't it? I mean, put a gallon of this or a cup of this or whatever, but it was a guess. But Sutro is actually doing an analysis telling you how much, right? It's
Exactly.
taking the guesswork out of it, and it's letting that customer know exactly, what they got to put in there. And I think that, I mean, it's so amazing. Like I was talking to some inspectors a couple weeks ago, and we used to use Thomas guides to
Mhm.
get from point A to B. And I'm sure your dad and you were always part of
Yeah.
that. They had you probably just barely in a seatbelt, wasn't even in a car seat, and they were reading a Thomas guide while they were driving, and it was like page 292 G4.
Yeah.
And it's like, but it was like, we're looking at this map, we're driving, and it was challenging. And now, like, try and tell somebody how to go somewhere without a navigation. It's like, sometimes I don't even know how I got there. I just need to go left or right. And this device is saying put X quantity of whatever to get your pool where it needs to be instead of making it a guess game. And I think that, people will just embrace technology for those things. I mean, I know my wife, she won't let, we don't have a Tesla, but if we had one, she would never let it drive her from somewhere to another place. Me, I say technology is so much smarter than me. I mean, I know things, okay? I understand what I do and how to do it, and that's why people hire me for that. I hire a tax guy to do my taxes because he just
Mhm.
does it better. This device is just going to do it better. So,
Exactly. 100%. Yeah, I couldn't have said that better. That was awesome.
yeah, thanks. So, so what else do we, I mean, this sounds pretty simple. We're going to be able to explain to our customers this device, this product, this is going to give you comfort and peace in your pool. It's going to take something that may seem complicated. And I'm going to tell you, that is something that a lot of people come to me and they are just scared. They've never had a pool before, or they don't understand it, and the pool guy, they'll never listen to the pool guy enough to explain what's wrong. I never forget a case. I built a home here in Southern California, and we were renting a home in the process, and it was a saltwater pool. And I remember going out to the pool, and okay, I knew something was wrong and the plaster wasn't feeling right and whatever. And I did a test on the salt, and it was at 6,000 parts per million.
Wow.
And I just, for those who may not know, I mean, you're in that 2,800 to 3,400 parts per million is where your number on salinity. And you start getting to 6,000, you're like the ocean. And the pool guy, I asked him, I said, "Hey, have you what are you doing? You're like your chlorine's off, your numbers are off." And the owner of this home was paying him to maintain this. And he said, "Well, I just dumped another bag of salt in it." And this was just case in point for why the importance of technology, because the people aren't trained. It used to be every pool was a regular chlorine, dump the gallon or so a week, and it's like 90% of the pools we see now are all salt pools. But
Mhm.
there's problems with those, and it's just using put some electricity on the salt, and you can generate more of that soft water, I guess you'd say.
Mhm.
And or it's like a safer chlorine, not as drying of your skin. It's more of a soft water. but 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 just knowing how much, I mean, I tell people, even with salt pools, they're going to have to supplement it when it gets hot. And it just, I don't know what your take on that is. I find that some of the salt systems cannot generate enough during certain temperature of the pool and
Yeah, yeah,
the chlorine. But it was, again, always a guessing game. And now
yeah.
we're going to have that better understanding. So is this, do you have more to go through, or are
No,
you open to
actually, this
questions?
was my last slide.
Well,
Actually, that I
perfect.
had.
Leads into that.
Yeah.
So with that said, and let me go through a few questions that I have about, pools, and maybe your expertise can be, brought in here. So does it matter if they're a salt pool, or, how does that play in there? Does it matter one pool or another? Yours will
No,
tell them
actually,
what they need to
the
know.
the Sutro works with kind of all different types of pools. So when you first onboard the Sutro application, it'll ask you a question of, do you use, chlorine tablets? Do you use liquid bleach? Do you use salt? Or do you use, even now they have the new ozone UV
Yeah.
systems that are out there. And so you just kind of select, and the Sutro does all of the math in the back end. So it knows what kind of pools you have, what type of chlorine you're generating, and how you need to sanitize, and what to actually tell you to do. So the system is built to actually have multiple different types of pools.
Excellent. So we started to talk about like a skid or a portable spa. It works the same in that, right? It's just, I mean, do we have a measurement of water? Do they have to know how many gallons the pool is or the spa in the device? Is that
They do, yeah.
okay?
So that's how the Sutro tells you how much to put in your pool, right? The water generally is the same, I would say, right? From a hot tub to a jacuzzi to a swimming pool. A pH of 6.8 is a pH of 6.8 in all three different types of water. Now, the amount of chemicals you need to put in depends on your gallonage. And
I
so
see.
to get from 6.8 to 7.8 in a jacuzzi is much less chemicals, because the gallonage is a lot smaller versus a swimming pool, where you need to dump a lot more in to get that proper mixture. And so part of that onboarding on the Sutro app is you will input what type of pool you have, what type of chemicals you use, what type of gallonage you have, right? Is it a 10,000 gallon, 5,000, 20,000? And then you basically complete out the process after you've scanned in your chemicals, and it'll then start telling you exactly what to do for your gallonage with your chemicals.
Excellent. And so, if you guys don't know how to estimate, there are apps that you can load on your phone that will estimate the
Yeah.
gallons. So, sometimes we get some weird shapes of pools, but there's a general, there's certain designs, and you'll get estimate. And I think this will give you a close enough. So a question I have, and I don't know the answer to. They always say like attorneys never ask questions they don't know answers to. So hopefully I know. So we get certain kinds of customers, ones that know everything, and some that self-profess they know nothing and they depend on us. Some people are building contractors and they'll hire a home inspector and he's always like watching us,
Mm.
and he'll throw some tests out to us to see if we actually know what we're talking about. Hence, why we have education is to make us all smarter. So some customers are going to be using this device to see if their pool guy's actually doing their job,
Mhm.
right? Um, and some will just want the pool guy to do it right and not test them out. So speaking of that, when a client onboards and sets up their pool, and I don't know the answer to this question, so help me, or maybe it's a future thing.
Mhm.
But do they have the ability to make this information available to their pool guy so that he too will know that X address that you service needs more chlorine or, acid or whatever? How does that work? If is it only one user, or does the app allow you to share this information with another, like your pool guy?
So we actually have two apps on the App Store. One is just called Sutro by itself. If you just type in, I think, Sutro Pool, it'll comes up with the Sutro app. The second app, actually, which answers your question, is an application called Sutro Pro. And the Sutro Pro app is for the pool guy to basically, if he wants to actually bring in your unit's worth of data, he'll have to download the Sutro Pro app, and then he can actually attach himself onto your unit so he can monitor what your pool is saying on one dashboard on his side. And so we do have the ability for the Sutro Pro or a pro person to actually do that and use that.
Okay, I would think a good percentage of our clients will want to do that
Mhm.
because, they certainly just listen, just do your job. I'll pay you your money, do your job. Now, answer this, and this is from the pool industry. When you hire a pool company to do service work, obviously their service work includes the chemicals, or do the chemicals cost that customer extra?
It actually depends across. I mean, we work with a lot of, funnily enough, Sutro actually works with a lot of pros and service folks across the US. Um, and the services that each of them offer actually differs. There's folks that will, on one side of the spectrum, do nothing but cleaning. They're kind of maids for the pool. And then they'll just tell the customers what to actually put into the pool, and they'll expect that the customers actually buy the chemicals. You'll get the guys that are chemicals only, that all they'll do is they'll just come and test, and they'll put the chemicals in. And then you have your full suite, guys that are white glove. That's like, I'm gonna clean. I'm gonna clean out your pump, your filter. I'm gonna clean your skimmer, and put the chemicals in, and leave you a nice little receipt on your doorstep, so you know exactly what I did. And so there's kind of the spectrum of people, across all 3 or 4 of those different types of permutations of what people do.
Okay, so for us and explaining to our clients, we can show them, this is what this does. And there's a pro version that if your pool guy wants to participate in that, and let's say they don't have pool guys, and this is just another thing I don't know an answer to. Does Sutro have like those pros that are familiar with your product? Do you list those on your site, or could that be a future improvement where maybe our client? So one of the things I can tell you as an inspector is when I go look at a pool system and I see extensive deferred maintenance, and I see, pool, the algae growth and stuff, my first thought is get rid of this pool guy. This guy should never have gotten to this point, no matter whether he's a maid or, if I was paid to clean a pool and the client wasn't chemicaling it, or if I was paid to do full service and that pool doesn't look great, that guy shouldn't be on the job. And I think that people a lot of times they ask us as inspectors, and we usually like to defer away from that because I don't ever inspect that contractor's work after. I see it before and I see that there's just failed things about it. But my thoughts is when I show up and I got a green pool, I'm like, think this is the wrong pool guy. Get a new pool guy. And that, there's guys that just don't, they were trained basically on, simple chemical, but not really understanding the physics and science behind it. So do you guys ever offer like referrals on companies that are maybe Sutro pros?
In the future, we're actually going to start building that database out. But currently, the way that our customers do it today is they'll just kind of email in to say, hey, do you have any recommendations? And our customer service team, again, can pull who we have that's using the Sutro Pro app to tell, that these pros already use Sutro. But it's not something that we have public just quite yet. But we are in the process of building it out this summer, actually.
Well, I think from pool and spa inspector's perspective is that somebody who takes on that pro is somebody who knows that he's being checked. Like, this device is allowing that homeowner knowledge that that guy is actually doing his job. And I kind of like that. I like the fact that a guy is saying, yeah, I use this app and you can too. And you can check to make sure that I'm doing my job. And that kind of really says a lot of confidence that our clients probably would be pretty excited about. So that's kind of exciting. So we kind of know, this product's simple to use. It's a 1 month, 5-minute service for the homeowner. So I think everybody's got that in their schedule. It's extremely accurate. I mean, look, I depend on these things to see up and close. And so I can't imagine doing looking at my yellow and purples and making sure they're the right color, because I can't even barely see those things.
And what do they say? I think like 10% of men are colorblind or something like that,
Yeah.
to some degree, right? On top of all
that. Well, believe it or not, like if you think about like infrared and we talk about colors and things that you see like a red box behind me. Well, that's not red. It's a reflection of light. And when you truly understand, like your floor mat behind you has every color, and it's like those are all shades of gray to a colorblind guy. So, and that's really how, light is just a reflection, and that's what we're seeing. We see color. So using a computer to read those colors is really, I think, beneficial here. So the fact that it can be used in a pool or a skid, a portable hot tub, it can tell all those. It's extremely accurate. It's telling you what to do. I think that that's been a pretty great explanation of this product. And, I mean, what one of the things that, I want to further emphasize is the partnership that we have. And,
Mhm.
Sutro is basically saying, look, we're going to take it once you bring that client to us, we're going to take it from there. But we have created a reward program that'll help our inspectors to basically get the word out and get the knowledge. And so, we'll have that explained a lot more in our course, but basically, we're working with you on creating some marketing, and it's a simple postcard, right? And basically it's a postcard that's going to explain what Sutro is, and basically you're going to give that to your client on the inspection. And if they want this, great. If they don't want this, listen, everybody chooses their path in life. I like simple, and this is simple to me. So, if a client decides to buy that, and, obviously technology, I mean, I just got a notice from one of my manufacturers, prices change. So we always have to be aware, that prices can change, and you can always look to Sutro's website to see what the current pricing is on equipment. I don't want to talk about that so much as, because it can evolve and change over time, and as advances in technology, and the more that Sutro puts into it, the value to that customer can change. So, but those are there. But we're going to have a referral program set up where clients going to click on a code or a website, and once they have that, they'll be able to purchase this product and sign up for a subscription. Now, this product's going to require a subscription, right? And it's automatic, right? So you have fulfillment. These cartridges just show up, correct?
That's correct. Yeah, the Sutro system, the kind of Sutro mind, or we call it Sutro AI, is basically monitoring and measuring how many more units or how many more tests are left on each cartridge. And as soon as your cartridge is running out, it calculates to start the production line and basically get a cartridge ready to be shipped out to your household. So it's
Speaking
actually
of that brought up a great question that I have. Now, you said there's about 100 tests in there, and
correct.
currently that the system is set up where it does 3 tests a day. Can that be changed?
We are in the process of looking at how to change that. It's not available yet because the current infrastructure and the current model is built off of 3 tests. But
Okay.
it is something we are actively looking at right now.
So I would encourage it, and let me tell you one of the thoughts that I have. So recently, I just bought these meat thermometers.
Mhm.
One of my hobbies is I do a lot of cooking. I have like an addiction. I have like 5 smokers, and I bought these wireless thermometers that go in the meat, and it basically estimates my cook time. Well, one of the neat things, and you said that this device is telling you the temperature of that water. So I'm envisioning this system sitting in a hot tub, and man, that guy wants to know when his party's ready.
Yeah.
And so maybe there's certain days where they might be able to expedite that reading, or maybe it's just the temperature.
The
Maybe.
temperature actually is done hourly. So it does come
Oh,
back every single hour. Yeah.
see, that is a
Yeah.
really neat feature, because I'm envisioning that guy with the hot tub who now their technology is there where you can activate your hot tub with a smartphone, and
Yeah.
some of those have that temperature reading, but they have this device that can tell them when the party's ready. So that's kind of a neat little thing. And maybe somebody's just monitoring that chemical on a quicker basis. So if there is a future, those are options that might be available. And I think that's great. And so, as I said, Sutro is working with us to build. We're going to have a postcard that we'll be able to have for you that'll have that introduction to the product. The clients will be able to understand the affiliation and the benefit there, and they'll be able to purchase. And then they have some subscription models. You have currently 2 models, and a little bit different price between them, but main thing is what level of service do they want, correct?
That's correct. And there's a little bit more kind of data on steroids on our premium version. So, people want to see more in-depth graphs. They want to, get kind of weekly trend reports. So we've beefed up the premium feature to be a little bit more data heavy. But, both the basic and the premium solve the core function of the product of it measures 3 times a day and tells you exactly what to do and when to do it. And so that feature is always the same on both.
Excellent. Well, can I make one suggestion that I don't know if it's available, but if it is, or if it isn't, maybe it's something you can look into. I think that it would be really neat because we're showing kind of the product to the customer. But do you think you can just have a pool where one of your systems is in that we can have just a general access to?
Yeah,
Meaning
totally.
like
We can give
like
you.
I don't care. It's dummy.
Yeah,
Like you could be sitting in a fish tank in your office that you guys keep screwing up the chemistry on,
yeah.
and I envision like our inspectors basically turning on the app on their phone and just showing this is the kinds of stuff that we can see with the app. So say we got that customer that's really inquisitive on the benefits of Sutro and how simple it is to operate. And of course, they'll have access to all that right from the website and that postcard. But I just think that maybe that might be really cool to have a dummy
Yeah.
system where people can see how important this data is. So, Ravi, this is really great information. I really appreciate you taking the time today. Is there anything that you can think of that we didn't cover, or any, recommendations for our guys? Like, when it comes to, I know the product, I think it's going to sell itself, but if there's any tips that you might have for them, when it comes to, introducing Sutro to them, because I'm going to tell you, I know this has been out for a little bit, but I have never seen one in a customer's pool. And that's
Hmm.
why that excites the heck out of me, because I see the opportunity is huge. And, when we have an opportunity, there are some rules in home inspection that basically state that we cannot be incentivized by, let's say, selling a customer a remodel where a contractor pays us money. But
Hmm.
in this case, this is an inspection. This is an extension of engineering, and the reality is it's given them more information, and so it'll meet all the standards when it comes to home inspection. So you guys can absolutely accept a referral should that customer decide to hire for additional services. So I think that we've worked that ballpark out. But is there anything else that you can think that we might not have covered that might help our inspectors get out there and get Sutro known even more in their area?
No, I think just the kind of final line is that, if a customer has a pool, understanding that they have to test it every single day is obviously core. And then flipping that conversation around to say, look, this preventatively and proactively helps you manage your water. So you don't have that green pool anymore. You don't have that algae. Is kind of the best way that we've seen people talk about the Sutro product to their customers.
Well, I personally, we started this last year in this process, and I'm really excited that you guys have partnered with us, and I think that we can build this product further and help people. And I think that this is solving one of the mysteries, and that is the unknown. And so many people just don't understand, this, and this is going to simplify it for them. And I think that I congratulate you on creating the product, and I think it's a really good setup, and I think it's going to be a great complement to our service that we offer for inspectors. So I really thank you for taking the time today, and this information is going to just be delivered out to our network and helping the guys understand Sutro and the benefits. And so thank you so much for taking the time today to spend with us, and I guess we'll get this ball rolling.